Okay, Alabama week, obviously big challenge for us, going into this week, arguably, or not arguably, probably the best team in the country year in and year out. You just got to respect what Coach Saban has done there at that program year after year. When you look at them defensively, to be honest, it looks like an NFL front four, their defensive line. They got unreal playmakers in the secondary. Minka Fitzpatrick is, one of the best players I've seen on tape. Started out at corner, then moved to safety, plays the nickel, does an outstanding job. Ronnie Harrison, number 15, is an outstanding player. Big challenge for us offensively this week, to be able to move the ball and get some first downs. Offensively, for Alabama, just impress year in and year out how they continue to move the football, how they continue to do it with different coordinators, different quarterbacks. They find a way to be successful. Great program. Always has been a great program, and everybody, says that they get, the best players in the country, and they do get a lot of the best players in the country. But when you watch this team on tape, offensively, defensively, and special teams, it's probably the best coached football team that I've seen in a long time. So it's going to be a big challenge for us, one we're excited about and looking forward to. We got a lot of work to do, but it's going to be a huge challenge.
Mike, just real quickly, with the Storm sitting where they are, you have like 27 players from down south, a lot of them in Georgia, a lot of them in Florida. How's everybody's family doing and your family's on the coaching staff?
Yeah, that was something that we discussed last week, and then throughout Hurricane Irma, have been talking to our players about their families, and everybody is, all their families are safe. A lot of them evacuated, some of them stayed to ride it out, but it's something that, those guys have been in our thoughts, and every time we've had a chance for Johnny Square to lead our team in prayer, we've said a lot of prayers for the guys on our team and their families.
Mike, when you look at this Alabama team, all the things you just said about them, how do you keep your team from being intimidated? Keep them focused and, as you say, avoid the noise. There's a lot of noise when you're playing Alabama.
Yeah, you're playing the number one team in the country. We're going to be on, ESPN2. It's something that, our guys have been excited about since it's been on the schedule. An opportunity to play a team of the caliber of Alabama at their place. And we got a lot of players from the South that Mike just mentioned that are excited about going closer to home. So we'll have, a lot of our players will have a lot of their families and friends there. We'll talk about that today of, handling that stuff and getting that organized with tickets. But we got to focus on us. We got to make sure, that we know our assignments, because if you've got any hesitation or don't know what you're doing as a football player in any phase of the game, then that's when they're going to really expose you. We've got to concentrate on Colorado State. We got to improve what we're doing fundamentally and schematically, and then go out there and play and just, cut it loose.
From your time, obviously coaching there, is there things you can share about, I guess the experience with your players and, the awe factor, that type of thing?
Yeah, they're going, while you're warming up, they're going to play Sweet Home Alabama, and everybody's going to sing it. So our guys have been in some big stadiums, and there's a lot of guys on our team that have been to Bryant-Denny Stadium, and not just myself, but we're going to have guys on our team that have been there, and if they have experience playing in that stadium, that will be able to share some of the stuff that is going to go on during the game. Still going to be 22 out there on the field at one time. There's just going to be 100,000 plus in the stands. Not going to get too caught up in everything that goes on there or in an SEC environment. At the end of the day, we're going to focus on what we feel like we can do best and how we can be successful in those areas.
Mike, I was actually kind of surprised with all the time you spent at Georgia as a player and a coach. You've only been in that stadium 3 times, from what I could gather, but you're 2-0 as a coach. What are your recollections of
I've been
that?
2-0 there as a coach.
Yeah.
07. What's the other year?
I think it was 02.
02. That's right. That was a long time ago. It's just a great, first time I went there, I believe it was 1994, and I was my second year in school, and Eric Zier was the quarterback. I was a redshirt freshman, and it was at night, and I just remember it was just an electric environment. I had a chance to win that game, and we didn't convert on a third down, and I remember we couldn't sack Jay Barker. He must have broke 10 tackles that should have been sacks. I think we were wearing out Will Friend, who was their guard at the time, and but Jay Barker kept avoiding the sacks. But just a great environment, a lot of pageantry at a place like Alabama. You're talking about a team that's won 16 national championships. Have been successful for a long time, and the current run that they're on now is really. Really impressive how they continue to do it with new players that are highly recruited, but they get them motivated and they play for the team. They don't play for themselves, and that's just a credit to their coach and their coaching staff.
You kind of touched on it a little with your players from the South, but obviously you've recruited that area heavily. A lot of guys that maybe weren't quite on the SEC radar, but certainly have come here and done some great things. How valuable are games like this? And do you think those guys have a little chip on their shoulder when they get to play in a game like this?
I'm sure, guys initially when they come out of high school have a little bit of chip on their shoulder that they weren't recruited by, the programs like in Alabama. But I think once they get here, they feel like they're in a good place. This is a great place here at Colorado State, and they feel like they can accomplish everything they want, academically and athletically. Now we do use it in recruiting that we're going to play. We're playing teams like Florida. We're playing teams like Arkansas. Vanderbilt's on the schedule. You play Oregon State. You play these, the big-time programs, not just the kids from the South, that you're going to play these Power 5 programs, and it's an opportunity to play some of the best of the best.
All the accolades you give Alabama deserve, but still, this is not a trip that you're going down to get a participation rate.
No. I mean, we're not. There are no moral victories to me. You play the game. You compete. You play it to win, and that's what we're going to do is to play the game to win. It's going to, we hope we're going to play a competitive football game. Having gone against. Jeremy Pruitt for a year at University of Georgia, who's the defensive coordinator now. We talked about this summer. You're going to try to come score points, and we're going to try to shut you out. That's it. We're going to be competitive, and we're going to get after it, and try to put on the field the best players and run the best concepts and schemes that we feel like we have a chance to be successful. But our guys, we're in a good place right now as a football team. I feel like, we're where we're supposed to be. We're 2-1. Now we got a chance to go play a game and try to get to 3-1.
Coach, you talked about this a little bit, but playing a team like Alabama and their prestige, is that something that you and your players are taking a little bit more pride in than usual?
I think we've taken a lot of pride in just ourselves this year as a program. When you look at what, is happening here at Colorado State, with the just everything, not just the commitment to athletics and the football program, but the commitment from our president and our administration, to make Colorado State one of the best universities in the entire country. Just what he's done here as a school president has been remarkable. It's one of the reasons why I'm sitting here today, is the commitment. And we take pride in our program at trying to be one of the best programs and universities in the entire country.
There was talk when they changed offensive coordinators again this year that they were going to try and keep Jalen in the pocket more. But as you enter this game, he's still their leading rusher. What are the unique challenges that he presents to your defense?
Well, obviously, anytime you play a quarterback that has the athletic ability that he does, and he's a big kid too. I've never seen him in person, but I mean, he looks like 220, 225 pounds. And obviously, they've got the design zone reads and quarterback runs and the quarterback powers that he can hurt you on. But what he really, really hurts you on is when they have the call passes and his ability to, make plays with his legs outside the pocket is scrambling. And the challenge is going to be, to contain him as a quarterback. Sometimes you try to put a spy on a guy like him, and I think he can make a spy look silly. You try to play coverage and contain him, and you rush forward, and you're still going to have lanes where he can step up and run. You try to pressure, to try to close all those lanes and bring 5 or bring 6 where he doesn't have room to step up and run. Then you get one-on-one coverage out there with guys like Ridley. So it presents a big challenge of you got to pick your poison. The big thing is you get, like any week, you got to keep guys in front of you. You got to make them work as an offense, and hope they make a mistake. And that's really week in and week out, is that we got to make people grind it out, work for points, and hopefully we can get them in a lost yards down, get them behind the change, or get them in some third down situations where we got a chance to get off the field.
We talked about the importance of limiting that explosive play a lot this year. Do you think that's the biggest focus for you guys on defense again?
Yeah, I mean we're still giving up a few explosive plays here or there, but I mean offenses are so good nowadays of creating explosive plays. Not everybody's in the, nobody's really. You're going to spread you out. They're going to stress you as a defense. And it used to be if you didn't want to give up one or two, you didn't want to give up an explosive play a game. Nowadays, it's kind of limit the explosive plays and limit the explosive plays for touchdowns. And I've seen a big improvement from our defense in limiting the number of explosive plays. And we didn't give up any last week for a touchdown, which was a good thing. So we got to limit those things, and you just want to get them on the ground and make them snap it again. Now we'd love not to give up any explosives, but that's sometimes that's not going to happen. And when they do happen, line back up and play again.
Mike, you talked some even after the game the other day about the importance of routine, having a good routine with your team. Is this a week when you really rely on that your routine is going to be the same this week as it would be if you were playing number 200 in the country instead of number 1?
Yeah, this is our 4th week of the season, our fourth game, and this is really only the 2nd week where we've had the same routine up until Friday. Friday will be a little bit different because we'll travel, we will get on an airplane, we will go out of state. So that's a new routine. You've got a lot of young guys that are playing on our football team that haven't got on a plane. They haven't traveled. I know we went to Denver and played, but you're still in state, and really everything was close to routine that could be, except for driving to the hotel that Friday night. So that will be a little bit different. And then when you go on the road and you're playing in a hostile environment, you've got to take care of the football. You cannot lose the game on special teams, and then you got to be able to handle the crowd noise. Your quarterback's got to play good on the road, usually for you to have a chance to win the ball game.
Offensively, what are when you look at how your offense breaks down and going against the defense that's only giving up 8.5 points a game right now, 2 yards a carry. When you've seen some of the progression of your offense, the strength of your team, are there ways that you feel comfortable going in and attacking that defense?
I'm still looking for a first down right now. I mean, I probably really angered my staff last night. We stayed here at about 12:30 or 1, and we had written nothing on the board last night. It's kind of scary when you watch them defensively of how good they are and how well they play together. I mean, it's not a team that lines up, in one defense, in 1 or 2 coverages, and physically wears you out. Now, they do physically wear you out. It's what they do defensively. They are a complex defense. They will give you a number of different things defensively, especially in the back end, coverage-wise. The different kind of adjustments they have, the splits and formations and the checks that they have and how they're tied together. And then if they do make a mistake, that front 4 are just like 4 big erasers up there that cover up if they make any mistakes in the back end. So it's the more tape you watch, the scarier it gets when you watch them. But at the end of the day, we're going to figure out what we do best, what gives us a chance to be successful, where our guys can play fast. You know, we got to play fast. We got to come off the ball. We got to know what we're doing. If we try to do too much schematically, where we're trying to trick them by formation or motion and end up confusing ourselves, then that's when they're going to make you look worse than they make everybody else look, really.
In that same tone, is it nice that for Michael Gallup to have faced and had a nice one-on-one battle with Oliver earlier this year, considering the defensive backs he's going to go up against?
Yeah. I thought. I mean, we played 2 Power 5 teams already, and I feel like Colorado is a very good defense that's got. They've got a big front. They've got big athletic corners. They had really, really good safety. And number one I know he's from Brookwood, Snellville, Georgia. I can't pronounce his name. Really nice kid too, but really, really good player. So we played some good players against Colorado. So, I think that will give us, a little bit of confidence that we went up. Those are some of the same type of coverages that we'll see. They're probably more elaborate in the back end than Colorado is. I think our guys are confident. I think we recruit guys that have confidence. I want guys that believe they're some of the best players in the country. Kind of going back to what Kelly talked about, maybe have a little chip on their shoulder. But at the end of the day, the chip on the shoulder is not going to win you the game. It's going to be lining up and being able to execute what we do and do it in a way, do it fast. If we're not sure, we're taking longer than we normally do, then it's going to be a long day.
Mike, you just talked about the more film you watch, the scarier it gets. Do you limit how much film of Alabama your team watches this week because of that?
No, we're going to watch. You're going to watch them. You're going to find things that, it's hard to find some things where guys were successful. But, and then you go back and start watching last year's defensive football team. And they replaced a lot of guys, at the front. But, all those guys that are playing now are extremely good. I know they've got some injuries at linebacker. They're Sam linebacker, but they put in freshmen and young guys that, Dylan Moses. I mean, he's 6'3", 245. I mean, I'm at the University of Georgia at our camp that we called Dog Night, and we split it up. We had so many people who had young kids running, and then the older kids were registering later. And I just happened to go down there with the young kids, and we didn't know Dylan was coming. And this kid runs like, I think he was going in the 8th grade at that time, runs like 4.43 or 4.47 as going into 8th grade. And I go up to him and like, hey, man, where are you from? I'm from Louisiana. What's your Dylan? I'm like, Dylan, we didn't even know Dylan Moses had came. And it's just, as an 8th grader, he's running 4.47. So they're plugging in guys like this that can run and are physical. I know they lost a great player in Reuben Foster, but Hamilton, will run and strike. They got guys that can play, and they get them plugged into their system, and they coach them up, and they play as a unit. That's what's impressive to me, how well they play as a unit. If they're tied together. And, you watch film and there's mistakes everybody makes where, there's a bust here or there in the coverage, but rarely when they have a bust does it result in a big play because somebody else makes up for somebody else's mistakes.
You've had some success running that up-tempo offense this year. Do you think that's the best way you envision making that defense uncomfortable at all?
Well, you've got a chance when you go fast, to get guys on their heels, where their cleats are not screwed into the grass and they're not coming downhill against you. But on the flip side of that, if you're going so fast and things aren't going well, you're giving the ball back to their offense in a hurry. Who've got, a really good offensive line, a great quarterback we talked about, and backs that are going to be bigger than the kid from Oregon State they're extremely physical. So you run on the flip side of that, if you go really fast and don't get first downs and don't convert, you're putting your defense in a bad situation. And then two, we've gone fast at times, but we're not very deep at receiver. And then when we go, we tend to we haven't been able to sustain that tempo because of our depth at receiver, and had to slow it down at times. We basically, you got Gallup, BC, and Clark are the main three that are playing right now. We're close to the first 3 games. I think we might be averaging over 80 snaps. And it's it's a long season, and there's times during the game I have to slow down offensively just to take care of our skill guys where we're a little bit thin. And then when you slow down sometimes, it gets us out of our rhythm. We're better when we go fast, but at the same time, we don't have a lot of depth, so it's kind of a catch-22 for us.
Can you give us an update on Trey Smith, Ben Knox, and then in that instance, you also played Jactavius Phillips this week?
And Scott Brooks.
Yeah. Is that with them, is that in regard to need or their development or a mix of both?
It's a little bit of both. It's going to be a long season, and, they're in the two deep right now. And, we're going to have to, if there's some more injuries, they'll play. And if we got to finish a game like we did against Abilene Christian, they need to play. We can't, keep the starting five out there for the whole game. If they've got to finish it or if there's some injuries, we got to get them ready to go. Now that we played them, they could possibly be on a field goal team or used in short yardage situations, kind of like Jeff Taylor did last year when we pulled his red shirt and played him. Trey Smith will probably be out for 3 to 4 weeks. I hope, maybe if the injury was last Tuesday, maybe we could get him back for, conference play, but that's a long shot. It depends on how fast the healer he is. It might be when we come back home for the next home game, but we'll see. Ben Knox it was not a major injury. It's going to be how fast he can handle, how fast the swelling gets out and he can handle the pain. So, I don't know for sure whether I would say doubtful, out, or questionable this week until we see him today and our trainers see him. But the MRI was good news. He would not be out the whole year, but he's probably doubtful right now based on yesterday's staff meeting. Colby Meeks is probably still questionable this week. So we've got, we got some issues up front. We haven't been able to, be consistent. Now the week 4, we're going to have a different lineup again. So we'll figure it out this week, get the best 5 out there, go give it our best shot.
Coach, has there been any opportunity at this point in the season where you guys were able to replicate something that you think Alabama could throw at you during a game?
No, it's hard to replicate 6'7", 306, 6'2", 308, 6'4", 315, 6'4", 288. Sam linebackers and Bucks that are 6'5", 250, and this is the third team guy, 6'5", 248. I mean, it's hard to replicate that size and that speed, and it's hard to replicate, those running backs that they have. I mean, wait till you see Bo Scarborough in person. I mean, you thought Derrick Henry was big. And then, Jalen Hurts, it's hard to replicate that. So, it's going to be hard to replicate the size and speed of this team, So that's why I kind of go back to, we got to focus on us and make sure we understand our plan extremely well, and we're confident in our plan, and we got to go play.